Good morning, Nerd Central! Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Central. I'm your host, Noah Ferguson, and we have so much content for you today. It still feels so surreal to have Nerd Central back and everything. Let's not waste any more time and just hop right into the news. The Super Bowl has come and gone, and we saw a lot of trailers. The How to Train Your Dragon teaser was shown as a commercial and looks amazing. The adaptation from animation to live action looks almost seamless with Toothless, looking almost picture perfect. While it's well known that live action adaptations aren't the best, I do think this movie will be amongst some of the greats. And moving forward from How to Train Your Dragon, we saw a new look at the new Mission Impossible movie during the Super Bowl. The teaser showcases many stunts and high-intensity clips from Tom Cruise. Variety then quoted Tom with asking a teammate to go on one more death-defying stunt. Can't wait to see what Tom has to offer in this action-packed movie. And moviegoers, rejoice! A bill has been introduced by a U.S. lawmaker to have theaters disclose when previews or movies begin. According to Screen Rant, U.S. lawmaker Martin Looney proposed the bill while calling theaters not doing this an abuse of people's time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm quite excited about this bill and hope it goes through. It would only impact the state the bill was proposed in, but who knows, maybe it will bleed into other states as well. With a massive slate of movies releasing this year, especially in the summer, I'll need all the time I can get to sit down and watch all the movies releasing this year. And finally, for some anime news, recently we saw a nice visual graphic released by the Japanese Marvel Studios and My Hero Academia X accounts, featuring Captain America and a hero from the new anime Hawks. Both were seen striking the same pose as a nice way to pull viewers to their release. My Hero's newest season has a release window for later this fall, while the new Captain America movie released last Friday on Valentine's Day. Another anime got some cool news as well. With Attack on Titan's latest movie getting extended showtime, the movie was slated to be shown for one day, but due to high demand from fans, it's now being extended. Real quick news for the viewers at home, the movie condenses the final 2 episodes into one feature-length film with slightly new animation to give fans a true cinematic experience. Hopefully you guys were able to go see the movie, and if you did, let us know what you thought about it down in the comments. And guys, that wraps up today's news. A lot of good stuff lined up and even more to come. And to continue with new stuff, let's take a look at some new packs, starting with Hero to Zero. Take it away, Tatum.
Welcome back to Hero to Zero. Today we'll be talking about, man, I am starving right now. I could eat anything. But what could I eat? Maybe a pizza, a plate, maybe the whole table. No, maybe the lights up there, maybe this camera. There are just so many things I could eat right now. Those curtains behind me don't sound that bad either. I could eat all forms of matter. Wait a minute. Hello, I'm Taden Hensley and welcome back to Hero to Zero. Why was I talking about eating things that aren't food? Well, that's because today we'll be heading back to the DC universe and talking about Matter Eater Lad, whose sole power is that he can eat all forms of matter. Making his first appearance in 1962, Matter Eater Lad, aka Tenzai Kim, was born on the planet Bismol, where the natives of his planet can eat all forms of matter. Matter Eater Lad would arrive on Earth to attempt to join the Legion of Superheroes, and unlike Color Kid, who we talked about last week, Matter Eater Lad was able to successfully join the Legion of Superheroes and would be very useful to help his team get out of bad situations. With Matter Eater Lad's power being able to eat all forms of matter, it stems from his Vismolian ability to produce a digestive enzyme of specific substances, so it makes it easy to chew and digest. He would later join the Legion Espionage Squad and the United Planet Senators to monitor the Legion back on his planet Abysmal. The Legion Espionage Squad was a secret resistance group who undertook missions that the Legion of Superheroes were not authorized to be involved in, and the United Nations wasn't even allowed to know about it because of how much backlash there would be from the United Nations. Matter Eater Lad would join later in the Legion Espionage Squad in different reboots of the comics. But just like with the Legion of Superheroes, Matter Eater Lad would become a respected member of the Legion Espionage. I feel like Matter Eater Lad is one of the better heroes with bad powers, and some people don't see Matter Eater Lad that useless at all, just because of how broken his power is. Eating everything is cool and all, but without that, he's just a guy, and he doesn't have any good combat skills. Even though Matter Eater Lad's powers are weird, since this whole thing is eating everything, he can bite off a lot more than he can chew. But that's all the time I got. I'm Taden Hensley, and this is Hero to Zero. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go eat some food. Real food, by the way.
Hello and welcome back to Nick's PSA Reviews. I'm your host, Nicholas Givens. This week, we will be talking about the Smokey Bear PSAs. The first one we will be talking about is the 1980 revision of the infamous 1973 PSA Mask, featuring Joanna Cassidy.
I know a place that's peaceful and quiet, a place where animals play. It's called the forest, but every year we start forest fires. A careless match or cigarette and poof, fire. So the next time you're in the forest, be extra careful, okay?
If you knew it was me, would you have listened?
Okay, this is a bait and switch PSA, and I like it. For starters, it lulls you into thinking this is a straightforward spot with a celebrity speaking about forest fire prevention and nothing else. But then Joanna transforms into Smokey, which makes this one slightly creepy. I think it works because in the end, people should listen to the campaign's message, no matter who is delivering it. The scare factor for this one is a 2 out of 10. This is because the mask removal is slightly creepy, but not as much as the original. We will talk about the original some other time. Joanna Cassidy's tone as she speaks is also slightly unsettling because of how deep her voice is. The next one is an animated PSA from 1995, and it is called Smokey and the Boys.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's some matches and that's no good. Listen to Smokey before you give it a try.
Only you.
Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about rooftop fight. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
This one is much more lighthearted than the ones we showed you last week. The song is catchy and has an R&B hip-hop-esque vibe to it. I like it because it is not creepy at all, and it gets the message across in a manner that children will understand as they were the target audience of this PSA. This one is probably my top 5 favorite PSAs, and it shows. The scare factor for this one is a big fat 0. There is literally nothing scary about it. What is helping here is the fact that this ad, unlike the one we talked about earlier in this episode, is aimed at kids, which means they have to convey the message in a manner that would be easy for them to understand, and this PSA does a good job doing so, and I have no negative thoughts about this one. I'm Nicholas Givens. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.
Hey everyone, and welcome to The 3 Count. I'm your host, Wiley Ray, and I'll be talking highlights and moments about the universe WrestleManiacs call the WWE. But I want to give a quick disclaimer before we jump into this week's segment about some spoilers you might be seeing within this pack. Without further ado, let's jump into my top 3 favorite moments from last week's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Starting with highlight number 1 being the return of the Phenomenal One to Monday Night Raw. And this one's my favorite not only because of the return of AJ Styles, but he returns to my favorite theme song in the WWE because Styles is just a Southern boy with some farmer strength, and he's ready to take on anyone who steps in front of him. With that being Dirty Dominic Mysterio as AJ's pitching his promo, or Braun Breaker as they have an intense stare down behind the scenes. Now this one between you and me is one of my favorite highlights. Doesn't matter about the WWE Championship or the Heavyweight Championship. Give me Breaker and Styles for the Intercontinental Championship because this is going to feed families and it's going to make for incredible match cards to come as Breaker's intensity on the mat versus the technician of AJ Styles and the veteran mentality that Styles brings really is going to make things interesting as these two feud here in the future. My second favorite highlight of the week comes from the Blue brand, and it's the return of Alexa Bliss. Now, Alexa Bliss returned in the Royal Rumble, which was my favorite moment, but Bliss returns and takes on Candice LeRae, sealing the win and finding herself a spot in the Elimination Chamber. Now, to me, this was a little crazy, but also awesome that Bliss, in her first time back from her maternity leave, wins her first match and finds herself one match away from WrestleMania. Now, I don't know what's really going on. Bliss might win, Bliss might not win, but whatever WWE's doing, I'm all for it. I'm excited to see Alexa Bliss back, and I'm excited to see the opportunities that will arise here in her return to the WWE. My third and final highlight in this week's segment comes from the Red Brand once again, as main event Jey Uso challenges the ring general Gunther for the WWE Heavyweight title. Now, a lot of people saw this coming when he won the Royal Rumble, but at the same time, it's interesting to see because Gunther's saying he's not worthy, but I personally think main event Jey Uso is a main eventer for a reason and has it as his nickname for a reason, and that's because he is worthy of holding that heavyweight championship. But this match is going to feed families once again and possibly be a 5-star matchup. Even though Gunther has won the last few matchups, Jey has a story to finish, just like a familiar friend of his. And I think Jey finishes that story and gets himself a main event title at WrestleMania. That'll do it for this week's edition of The 3 Count. Comment down below which Raw or SmackDown moment was your favorite. And don't forget to kick out of The 3 Count. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Noah Ferguson of Reels and Beats, your segment for all things music and movie news and entertainment. We're back with episode 2, so let's hop right in. Starting off with movie news, we have some Oscar controversy. We know that they're right around the corner, but we also do know that Emilia Perez got 13 award nominations. And just to put that into perspective, that is the same as Lord of the Rings, and also including All About Eve, Titanic, and my favorite movie ever, La La Land, with all of those having one more each with 14 nominations. Yes, we know the basics. It beat Wicked at the Golden Globes for Best Musical or Comedy, which isn't a controversy, but when your French director is quoted saying he's been to Mexico 3 or 4 times, saying, "We did location scouting, we did some casting, and I think at the end of the 3rd visit that I realized that if I worked in these real locations, I would say stuck to the ground," end quote. So we have our concerns, I'd say. It's quoted as a musical, but all I've seen is stuff like this. "Hello, my name is Noah. That rhymes with boa. Did you know a moa is a type of extinct bird?" Anyways, it's an international movie filmed in France but takes place in Mexico, and Mexican actresses don't even play the majority of the roles anyhow. But in recent news, leading role actress Carla Sofia Gascon was recently under fire for a recent past post on X, when it was formerly known as Twitter, with tweets. I can't specify what Gascon said, but they were in between the years 2020 and 2021. Now deleted, but they were a mix of expressions about religion, protests, and even diversity at the Oscars. And to close things off, Netflix has dropped its Oscars campaign for the actress. In other and much brighter music news, Tyler the Creator has kicked off his Chromacopia World Tour in Minnesota. I had the opportunity to go to his 3rd show at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri, and it was a great show. He's one of those artists I've truly always wanted to see live. For the first main act, the rapper performed 9 of the first 10 songs from his latest 8-studio album, Chromacopia, all on this massive green shipping container. From Saint Chroma featuring Daniel Caesar, Ra-Ta-Ta transitioning into the iconic single Noid, Darling I, Judge Judy, and then slowly a catwalk comes from the ceiling and he's playing Sticky featuring Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne. And when he finally took his mask off while playing the song, Take Your Mask Off. He eventually got over to B stage, where he was in this very home-like, groovy, 70s inspired mid-century home, where he played a wide range of music in his discography. Let's just say it was basically the Eras Tour, but for cool people. I'm kidding. Anyways, here he played songs from his rap album of the year for both 2020 and 2022, Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost. Other albums included Flower Boy, Wolf, and Goblin, which was very surprising and cool to see live. And the crowd even bullied him into playing Cherry Bomb, which was honestly hilarious.
It's not my celebrity. Like, what the I mean, you might be, I wouldn't know, but...
Some of my favorite parts about this show was the stage layout and the actual transitions between albums. There was a live camera facing the stage with a bin full of his vinyl records that he actually placed and spun in the middle of the stage. He was also quite funny and was saying that KC fans had a big game the next day, and we all know how that ended up. Overall, Tyler had a high stage presence and killer moves and brought a lot of energy to the stage. If I had one critique though, I wish KC fans brought that energy for Tyler for the whole night. To wrap today's episode up, we have some new deluxe versions of some of your favorite albums. That being Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet, which was released last week on Valentine's Day. It includes a Please 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 version that features Dolly Parton that definitely adds more of that twang factor to it. and Busy Woman, which is her first solo written piece and produced by the one and only Jack Antonoff. In other news, SZA released an already deluxe version of her album SOS with a deluxe album Lana, and then added another 4 songs, so like a deluxe of a deluxe album, which included 4 new tracks released before the big game halftime performance. Have you given these newest additions a listen? Let me know in the comment section down below. I've been your host Noah Ferguson of Reels and Beats, and be sure to check out next week's segment where I do a full recap and analysis over Kendrick Lamar's big game performance. I'll see you guys next time.
What's up and welcome back to Slashback. I'm your host Wiley Goff, and here on Slashback we will be discussing various slashers, including their background, their significance to the genre, and what makes that slasher unique. Today I'll be talking about none other than Freddy Krueger. Freddy grew up with a difficult childhood, and as an adult he became known for committing terrible crimes. He targeted children, and his actions eventually led to his arrest. However, Freddy was released due to a legal mistake which enraged the parents of his victims. The parents, seeking justice for their children, took matters into their own hands and confronted Freddy. They trapped him in an abandoned building and set it on fire, ending his life. But Freddy's story didn't end here. After his death, he returned in a supernatural form and the ability to enter people's dreams. Freddy now seeks revenge on the children of the parents who ended his life. He haunts their dreams, where he becomes a terrifying presence, using his powers to torment and harm them in the dream world. His backstory is one of sorrow, anger, and the desire for vengeance, making him one of the most iconic and feared slashers in history. What makes Freddy stand out in the world of slasher icons is that he's unlike most slashers who kill in the real world. Freddy instead attacks his victims in their dreams, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. This unique twist on the slasher genre introduced a supernatural element that set him apart from characters like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. His ability to haunt people in their sleep created a sense of vulnerability that is terrifying because everyone has to sleep. Another reason that Freddy is so significant is that of his distinguished personality. Freddy is known for his dark humor and sadistic one-liners, which gave him a personality that was more charismatic and memorable compared to the other slasher villains. While his actions were horrific, his quirks and taunts made him a more layered character and even introduced a level of complexity in a way that some other slasher villains did not. Lastly, what makes Freddy so significant is his iconic appearance. Freddy's burned, scarred face and the signature razor-gloved hand made him instantly recognizable. The character's distinctive look, especially with the red and green striped sweater, has become an enduring image in horror. His visual identity is ingrained in pop culture and continues to be a symbol of 1980s horror cinema. These are just some of the reasons that Freddy is so significant. What makes Freddy iconic is his signature glove. What makes his glove so iconic is that there is a blade on each one of his fingers of the glove. This is also Freddy's favorite way of taking out his victims. The last thing that makes Freddy so unique is that Freddy doesn't stalk his victims like most others. Instead, he torments them in their dreams, therefore making him a true nightmare. That'll do it for this episode of Slashback. Tune in next week where I'll be talking about none other than Leatherface. I've been Wiley Goff, and this has been Slashback.
And that wraps up this episode of Nerd Central. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on the video and be sure to comment down below what your favorite pack was. And as always, subscribe to the channel to support us, and don't forget that notification bell to never miss an episode. I've been Noah Ferguson, and this has been Nerd Central. Stay nerdy.